Stop playing Russian roulette with children's mental health on social media. That's the message from French lawmakers tasked with investigating the psychological effects TikTok has on minors. The Commission of Inquiry was created earlier this year amid growing concerns that the video platform was exposing teenagers to content about suicide, self-harm and other mental health problems. Well, after months of investigation, the Commission is recommending banning kids under 15 from social media, except messaging platforms, and enforcing a digital curfew for teens aged 15 to 18. Solange Mougin has this report.
The psychological effects are devastating. That is the conclusion of a French parliamentary report on what TikTok does to minors. MPs on the commission say it is so harmful they want to ban it for those under 15. There's not only its addictive algorithm and its effects on self-esteem and sleep, but the commission also heard from teens who say it encouraged suicide.
From one post to another, it gave self-harm techniques and ways to actually do it.
After 6 months of hearings, speaking to 178 experts and witnesses, and receiving 30,000 responses from citizens, the Commission gave a scathing review of TikTok.
We need to take back control over the lives of our young people and over our lives in general in France. And here it seems to me that there are a number of recommendations I'm making that can be implemented very quickly.
Among the 43 recommendations in the report, there is the ban for those under 15, the need for an awareness campaign, as well as the possibility of a digital curfew for 15 to 18-year-olds, where social media becomes inaccessible from 10 p.m. to 8 in the morning. The president of the commission said there should be financial repercussions as well.
I think what matters to this commission is to hold the platforms economically and financially accountable. If the platforms continue to endanger young people and not properly regulate themselves, then we need a tax system. The most dangerous will be taxed the most, and that will finance public spending, since ultimately it's spending on psychologists, on mental health, and more broadly, it's lives that are being destroyed.
TikTok, which is owned by the Chinese group ByteDance, says they're using AI to moderate and remove harmful content. They claim 95% is taken off within 24 hours. But French lawmakers say they found racist, sexist, anti-Semitic and misogynist posts being pushed on young viewers who get hooked on the app.
Well, let's speak more on this with Hayley Hinkle, who is a policy counsel at Fair Play Childhood Beyond Brands. Hayley, thank you so much for joining us on the programme. Really great to have you. I wanted to first of all get your reaction to the Commission's recommendations, banning under 15s and also putting in place a digital curfew. Will policies like that make any sort of difference, do you think?
I think yes and no. I think that there are a couple of things we've come to understand at Fair Play about all of these tech companies, particularly social media platforms, and their interest in children. And the fact is that their business model really drives them to choose engagement above all else. And that's why you see the use of design features that extend use and keep children up all hours of the night and push the most horrific types of content like pro-suicide content. And so it's not surprising to me that the result here is a recommendation around a ban for certain ages and thinking about a curfew overnight. But I think ultimately, all countries need to come together and put into place rules and regulations that prevent these activities across the board and not just on a company-by-company basis.
Well, Hayley, from what you're saying there, do you believe that there's a willful ignorance when it comes to the harmful impact that apps like TikTok can have? The report published by French lawmakers today speaks about that. It says that TikTok executives have displayed a willful ignorance. Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely the case. Very similarly in the United States, dozens of attorneys general from across the states have investigated and brought lawsuits against TikTok as to their conduct with respect to teenagers and kids under 13 in the US. And absolutely what they found in their investigations is that the company has internal awareness of the ways in which they are taking away kids' sleep and mental and physical health, but that the thing that wins the day every time is the decision that's going to make them the most money. So it absolutely makes sense to me that investigators have concluded that these executives are purposely turning a blind eye to what's happening.
Well, Haley, I do want to turn to Australia for a little bit because they are also going to be implementing, or they want to implement this social media ban. It's set to take effect in the next few months. It's going to ban 16-year-olds from using social media. Experts are raising concerns about data privacy and the accuracy of age verification technology. Implementing these bans won't be as easy as some might think, will they?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of questions about the technological capabilities that we have available to keep kids off of platforms. Kids are very tech savvy, and that's part of why, again, I think regulations that really address the company practices across the board are also important. And absolutely, we need to make sure that any age assurance or age verification is happening in a privacy protective way. At the same time, we also know the companies have a lot of data and make a lot of inferences about the age of each user. And I think that we're seeing lawmakers and regulators and enforcers in a lot of countries start to say, hey, we're going to hold you responsible for what you know.
Haley, tell us about some of the things that you've been seeing. I mean, we talked about the impact it has on children in terms of sleep, harmful content. What have you been seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. Displacing sleep, which comes with a whole host of other physical and mental health effects. Kids are really easily funneled down rabbit holes of increasingly extreme content on a topic, whether that's about self-harm and suicide or eating disorders and body image. Other features can also really affect body image for young boys and young girls. Filters and likes and follower counts, these things that really show to kids that if you look a certain way, you'll be more popular and get more engagement on TikTok. Those have a real negative impact on young people at a very vulnerable time when they're really looking for social acceptance. And that's something that TikTok knows too.
I'm sure plenty of kids that are going to be hearing us talking about this will be, saying, no, we don't want this kind of ban put in place because it allows them to keep in touch with their friends when they're not at school. Are there any good reasons for allowing children to stay on TikTok? I just want to be devil's advocate here a little bit. Do any reasons make up for the harm that the apps cause?
I think as it stands now, the trade-offs are very substantial. At the same time, at Fair Play, we have not called for all-out bans because we understand that a lot of technology has become a part of kids' everyday life. But that said, for me personally, in order for it to be something to recommend for, a child I know in my life, we're not there at all. And so I think we really need to see practices change either from because of fear of what lawmakers will do or fear of bans, but TikTok's got to do something and start really altering how it treats kids before it's really safe.
Well, Haley, what would you recommend to parents that might be watching thinking what they can do to protect their children?
Yeah, I mean, I think a few things. I think having open conversations with your kids and really creating an environment where they're comfortable sharing with you when they see something that upsets them. Having some understanding that some of this content can get increasingly extreme. And also understanding the limits of the tools as they stand now. TikTok has purposefully made them pretty difficult to use, the safety and parental tools. Things like, the option to quote unquote reset your feed only work for so long. And so, it's very easy for your child to be experiencing things that you're not even aware of because of this little device in their pocket. I think working with other families to agree on things together in your neighborhoods and communities about when you're going to give your kids phones and social media can really help because there's strength in numbers. And I think telling your elected officials, submitting comments and processes just like this one to share about your family's experience and demand something better is so essential because all families are experiencing this right now.
Haley, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Really great to get your insights on this topic. Thank you.